After just shy of 3 years in Summer Bay, tonight's Australian episode saw Rose Delaney leave for a new job in the city, marking Kirsty Merillier's final scenes on Home and Away. In late February, she told Cash that she'd finally applied for the Advanced Diploma of Police Investigations, the first step to landing her dream role. "It's exactly what I need right now," she explained. "A change, to move to the city, to try something new," she explained. Within a matter of hours, she got the news that she'd been accepted onto the course, and before long Cash had been promoted back to his old role of senior constable, after Rose handed in her notice. Rose has spent the last couple of weeks preparing her move, with Bree agreeing to take over the lease on the diner apartment. Yesterday's episode saw her on her final shift, stuck on patrol as her bosses didn't want her taking on any new cases that she wouldn't be able to finish. Bree was surprised that she was spending her last shift bored and alone, and later teamed up with Kirby to make Rose's last day special. As Rose looked melancholy as she finished up paperwork at Northern District's police station, the pair entered the station and ordered Rose to come with them. Rose reminded them that she wasn't due for her break yet, but it didn't take much convincing for her to join them for a boozy lunch. Today's episode saw her leave Summer Bay behind, but only after Kirby talked Molly into heading to the station to say goodbye to her, after Rose expressed her sadness that the pair wouldn't get a proper farewell. The pair had one final walk along the beach, where Molly told Rose that he could have treated her a lot better, and has learned a lot since they were together. She also had an emotional final goodbye to Cash at the station, where she thanked him for everything. The following morning, as she went to drive out of the bay for the final time, Kirby, Irene, and housemate Bree ran up to her, causing her to come to a stop. After Rose stepped out of the car, Irene handed over farewell coffee and snacks from the diner for her trip. Rose then hugged the trio one by one, and Kirby told Rose not to forget about them when she was a hotshot detective. The trio then waved her off, as she said goodbye to Summer Bay forever. Rose has had an eventful 3 years in Summer Bay, with the sleepy beachside town proving to be anything but. She and stepsister Jasmine initially struggled to connect, with Jasmine hurt that her father, who had left her in the foster care system after her mother's death, had gone on to have a happy life with a new family she never knew existed. Rose soon bagged herself a job at Yabby Creek Police, while Xander secured a position with the local ambulance station. While Rose thrived in her career, Xander struggled in his role. The mental toll of his job soon became apparent, and Xander later revealed his coping mechanism when losing a patient was to get a tattoo in their honor, much to Rose's shock. Her relationship with Xander has played a big part in her 3 years in the Bay, and siblings, who moved into the flat above the diner together, often encroached into each other's lives a little too much. It was Rose who discovered that Xander's girlfriend Stacy was continuing to see other men behind Xander's back. Stacy had proposed an open relationship, but when Xander insisted on monogamy, Stacy agreed. However, Rose soon found Stacy and her PT client Jordan in a steamed-up car, and was forced to break the news to his brother that Stacy had been cheating on him. Like her brother, Rose hasn't had much luck in love. She developed a crush on Cash within minutes of arriving, before learning that he was dating Jasmine. She began dating Tex Wheeler in an attempt to move on from Cash, but that came crashing down when she discovered that Tex was actually a member of bikie gang Death Adder Motorcycle Club. The gang were looking to recoup the money that Ari Parada had stolen from them over a decade earlier, and dating a cop was part of his plan to fly under the radar. When Tane hinted to Rose that her new boyfriend wasn't who he appeared to be, it was enough to get Rose curious. Running a check on Tex's license plate, she discovered that his real name was actually Lee Wheeler, and he was a known bikie associate. Rose ended up teaming up with Tane to bring down Tex and the bikies, but struggled with the fact that she'd let Tex trick her into thinking he was actually interested in her. Her second big romance came in the form of Molly, Dean's board shaper who moved to Summer Bay in early 2023. Molly was shocked to learn that Rose was a police officer, with his family having never trusted the police after Molly's brother Aluka had spent much of his life being racially profiled. However, it was Molly who struggled the most with Rose's job. When Xander wound up in hospital after his ambulance was ambushed, Xander broke up with her when she prioritized catching the culprit instead of staying by her brother's side. While they got back together, their relationship didn't last. Rose ended things for good after catching Molly brawling with the Allen brothers, who had arrived in the Bay seeking revenge on Aluka, who had stolen money from them. She admitted to Bree that she was scared about what would have happened if she hadn't turned up, explaining that Molly was out of control. "I don't even know who that person is." She broke up with Molly, telling him that she couldn't date someone who treated her like the enemy. One of Rose's biggest storylines came as she began the search for her biological father. She was inspired after seeing how close Molly was to his family, and the importance that his Aboriginal background had on his family's life. Xander was angry when he learned that Rose was searching for her dad, questioning whether his own dad's role as her stepfather had not been good enough for her. Xander eventually came to understand when Rose explained she felt a piece of her was missing, not knowing anything about her mixed-race background, but he remained uncomfortable with keeping it from their mother Yvette. Rose soon discovered that her dad was Samuel Edwards, a lecturer at her mom's university drama group. Rose's mom Yvette had dropped out of uni after falling pregnant with her, and an internet search confirmed that Samuel was the only black man in her drama group. Using the police database on the sly to track down Samuel's details, Rose eventually visited her biological father's house and left him a letter explaining who she was. Samuel soon called her back, and the pair met for the first time. Samuel explained that he genuinely loved her mother, although he had been married at the time, and assured Rose that would have supported her if he had known about the pregnancy. But one day Yvette left the university and he never saw her again. Hoping that it would help, Samuel showed Rose the family Bible, which listed 5 generations of the Edwards family. After pointing out the names of her paternal grandparents, Samuel invited Rose to add her own name and date of birth to the Bible. Telling her that she's now officially part of the family, Samuel assured Rose that she was welcome anytime. Samuel turned up in Summer Bay a few days later, freaking out Rose, who felt that things were moving too fast. She ended up sending her father away, deciding that she'd lived her whole life not knowing him, so didn't need a close relationship now. Eventually, she decided to admit to her mom that she'd tracked Samuel down, and headed out of Summer Bay to pay her dad another visit. A keen golfer who had competed in police tournaments back in the city, Rose also helped John and Kirby win Summer Bay's charity golf tournament, despite Justin and Dean's attempts to cheat their way to victory by sabotaging Palmer's putter's golf buggy. Kirstie Merillier filmed her final scenes as Rose in early October 2024. She is currently starring in Picnic at Hanging Rock at Sydney Opera House, which runs until 5 April.